Hi, it's MJ Moss, Century 21 Covered Bridges Realty Realtor, and I am back in Bloomsburg Town Park, which is an awfully pretty place, on the banks of Mama Susquehanna, one of the oldest rivers in the country, and a very pretty place to sit on a park bench and talk to people. And today I am talking to my friend and an absolutely nifty woman. I don't interview non-nifty people. Toni Trumbo-Bell. And I met Toni and her husband and family when they moved here.
Yeah, like 15 years
Has
ago.
it been that long?
15 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. I've been lucky all that time. She also has an excellent husband, and we have noisy cars. And I want to do an interview with Robbie.
Awesome.
He
Yeah.
does some really incredible graphic art stuff and has helped me hugely with web stuff. So
Yeah, he's got a good interview voice. I think that would be good as well.
yeah, he does. He does. He can
He's a
do
nifty
radio.
guy. I kind of like him.
Yeah, I got that impression. Anyway, they moved here. They bought a house. Later sold the house, bought another house, a little bit bigger, little bigger yard, and are still there with family, including dog. That's always a plus. How'd you get here?
Oh gosh. Well, long story short, I was raised in a blue collar family, and when I found myself kind of unexpectedly a single mom, when I was just 21 years old, and I was working for Walmart. I worked for Walmart for 10 years, and well, total. It is a town.
Biker going through.
Yeah, and so, and lived in government housing, and didn't make quite enough money to really make it, even though I'd been at Walmart for some time and was making more than the average Walmart worker, but still not, you just don't get paid super well, but not enough to really just make it, and so I decided I was gonna go to school at 23 and become a teacher. And so I signed up for every program I could get to help me do that. And I'm so grateful for the programs that we had. You know, I had grants and welfare, and I lived in government housing, and I had food stamps and Medicaid and money to help pay for my books. And so, I provided the will, my community provided the way. And if it hadn't have been for that, there was no way I could have gone back to school.
And that's the combination. There it is.
Exactly. You got to have the will, and if the community helps you provide a way to do it, because you can't do it on your own. There's no way to just do it on your own. You just can't afford to. And so I made the most of that opportunity, and am grateful every day for that. And so finished. Well, actually, I was going to be a high school biology teacher. That lasted about 10 minutes. And so for all of you who are high school teachers, bless you. Not for me. And then I had changed my major to chemistry pretty quick because my first chemistry professor was awesome, and I just adored him. It was Mark Noble at University of Louisville. Hi, Dr. Noble, if you can see this. And so that's what I did. So I did a bachelor's degree in chemistry, and I really loved it. Never thought I would have loved chemistry. And with my son Brandon by my side, and I started when he was 3 years old, and so from his point of view, I was always in school, and because that's all he remembers, and had a lot of short sleep nights studying up calculus and physics and things so that I could do well. And then when I finished, I was looking for jobs. I lived in Louisville, Kentucky at the time, or Louisville, I guess, as people who are from there don't say it that way. And there were jobs, just not for single parents. That 2-week rotating swing shifts and third shifts, and as a lot of people know, finding daycare and help for your son, unless you have a whole bunch of family around, it's difficult for that. So, and I was training coordinator at Walmart still, and found that I loved teaching. That was the part of the job that I loved, not the retail part so much, but the teaching part and helping other people learn how to do things. And so. I thought, well, that's something I think I can do for a career, go back to teaching, except for not high school. Decided I was going to teach college and applied and started graduate school at the University of Louisville. And then 5, I'd like to think of them, they look now like short years. They felt like long years then. And with my son. Started graduate school and finished that up. And when I got near done, I came out here and had an interview and met this beautiful town and my wonderful colleagues and fell in love with Bloomsburg. I'm a small town girl, and this is where I wanted to be. My son could walk to school, and I had met my husband at the end of grad school, and our son could walk to school, and our younger son that we have, who was born here, he's a native-born Pennsylvanian. He walks to school, and he goes here to Bloomsburg Memorial, and he actually just graduated from the 5th grade and is going to be going to middle school, and I work for a wonderful public university in Pennsylvania, and I love teaching, and I love my job. And
Dr. Toni Trumbo-Bell is a full professor of chemistry.
Yep.
And I know she teaches a lot of biochem stuff to people who are going on for medical degrees. Mm-hmm. And I learned that very early because I had said to her, well, you're talking to a layperson when it comes to hard sciences, so keep it simple for me. What is your particular interest in chemistry? And I got the most incredibly cool and understandable and excited lecture about how blood clotting works. And I thought, my God, this woman's going to be an incredible teacher. And I have run into, with her and without, students of hers, and the accolades are amazing. They are. The kids just think she's all that. And that's cool. Now, recently you've kind of stepped out of your mold as mild-managed college professor, mom, and Graham now. Yep. And what are you doing and why?
Oh, gosh. I went on the Women's March in Washington, D.C. and
Yay.
Met some beautiful, wonderful friends, and my newly found friend and March Betty K. Kirkpatrick. We spent the day in a wonderful group of 750,000 people, I understand, and it was the most beautiful day and of community from where I was, and but I didn't get to see any of the speeches because I couldn't get close enough, and so the next day I spent 6 or 7 hours watching the speeches because I was riveted on the stuff I didn't get to see. And when Michael Moore came on, and I had never envisioned myself really being a politician or doing anything like that. A year ago today, had you told me that I would be doing this, I would have thought you were nuts. But I heard Michael Moore's talk on how everybody needs to step up. Everybody needs to. There are offices that even the most shy person, and I'm not shy, but even the most shy person can run for. And sorry, a little allergies. Most shy person can run for, and so I thought to myself at that time, I can do something. I can do something to make my community better, and to serve my neighbors. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm going to run for office. And so I had asked people who know me well, and asked them, well, what kind of what do you think about me running for office? And including my friend MJ here, and they thought it was a fantastic idea. And so my friends in the local Democratic Committee talked me into running for town council. It wasn't much talking into. It was like, we think that this is where your skills and your talents and your passions would be best involved in the community. And so it was kind of terrifying. I thought, well, I can do this. I can do this.
And we know you can.
And I'm gonna try and put my best effort behind it, and hopefully be elected to town council and be able to serve my community and listen to my neighbors and put their concerns and their desires and their hopes for this town into words and actions. And so that's what I'm hoping to do.
She lives in the town of Bloomsburg. And by the way, Bloomsburg is the only town in Pennsylvania, referring to the fact that the particular form of government is not a borough, it is a town, which means that the mayor is in a uniquely different position relative to the council. So we talk about Bloomsburg as the only town in Pennsylvania. She's also at the university and has been there for a significant period of time, so she has huge connections there. And like every single place that has a university or college, there are town and gown problems.
Yeah.
I graduated from college. I went to a different place, a very large university. I went to a smaller university. I went to another really big university. And the problems with the town really aren't different. It's large collections of youth.
Yes.
and a more stable, typically older community. So I think you're uniquely positioned to communicate between the two,
Yeah,
and that's
and I also
critical.
grew up in one of those. I spent my young childhood in Columbia, Missouri, and my dad was a physical plant operator at the University of Missouri Power Plant, and that's a big university
Yes, it
in
is.
that town. And back then, the town I think had 60,000 ish residents. Now it's way higher than that. But there were town and gown issues there, and you're right. Everyone has them, and we certainly have ours here in Bloomsburg.
Right. How do you see being on town council working to alleviate some of those? I mean, what are they kind of particularly?
Everybody knows the number one concern is block party, where we have a group of students who, in general, a lot of my students participate in block party, and that's not an officially sanctioned university event whatsoever. But that they participate, and they're good young people and good young adults, and who are typically responsible. But what happens is that a lot of people get invited in who are not Bloomsburg University students, and they don't feel any responsibility or any being part of this town, so they feel free to muck it up. And so I hope to help students feel part of the town, and to help the town feel as though the students are part of the town. And we've got some things going on already that are starting to do that. And we've talked about, the big event at the university that the students put on once a year, all of the student organizations, but expanding that to make it more regular, to help the students become part of the town, and help them see the permanent residents as neighbors, and vice versa, because we are neighbors. And students spend most of their year here in town. And another way of doing that is, and I've always done this, I teach a course called Chemistry and the Citizen, and the first complaint I got out of that course, when the students do course evaluations at the end of the semester, is there's too much chemistry in this course. Well, I figured that meant that there's not enough citizen, and so since then, when I teach Chemistry and the Citizen, I encourage the students to register to vote and to go vote, and encourage them to get to know their local representatives, because the town council has a lot of say over what happens, in town. I mean, of course, that's their purpose, and to help the students participate in the local political environment in town that they're residents of most of the year. So
I've also seen, and the students here are mostly really neat young people. You get a small handful in any population that is problematic, and that happens everywhere.
yes.
But I've seen students step up, especially in disasters, or when you have a work day to help older residents, or residents who have particularly difficulties, I don't know, with their yard, with snow shoveling. When the flood hit here, and let's remind you that where we are sitting, which is a decent distance from the river and at pretty good elevation from it, this was all underwater. This whole park
Yes.
was underwater. A great part of Bloomsburg was, and the students who didn't leave because the campus was shut down for some
Had
days.
no water. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them couldn't leave because the interstates were actually flooded locally. They jumped in. They mucked out basements. They bailed. They helped people move. They were huge help. I was involved with the county animal response team up on campus sheltering some animals, and both students and faculty and staff, all three groups came over and helped us with those things. So the university is a good neighbor. Just both sides have to see that. I think that's the problem.
They have to see that. Sometimes it can be a little, you get drawn to the negative a lot, and that happens in this society. You get drawn to the negative, and so if we can make sure that we have some positive things that get said about our students, and that our students know that there are positive things about our town, because I wouldn't live here otherwise. I think this is a wonderful town, and we've got room for improvement, as any town does. But I think if we can see the positive things and remember that they are our neighbors, and that we can make it better. One thing I'm wanting to do, and I've got to talk to the fire chief about this, is they've been on a recruitment campaign to get college students to participate as volunteer firefighters, because a lot of these young folks are participating back home, and why not use those skills in community service to participate here? Well, with the new gen ed program at the university, we have a vehicle for getting them some general education points for that.
Oh, cool.
And so they could get points for serving in your community. And so honestly, whether I'm elected or not, that's a goal of mine, is to help support our local fire department. Because as you know, I had a house fire, and we can't, our fire department's wonderful. And so what I'd like to do is see if the chief and the fire department want to participate and write up a proposal for the university to help.
I think that's an excellent
maybe get them
idea.
some gen ed credit in citizenship, especially.
Yeah.
For students who participated, not even young, the traditional students, but non-traditional students, anybody who does that, to get them some general education credit for participating in that kind of thing.
Cool. I like that. On that note, I'm going to end this. Toni, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Good
for
luck
talking
in the
to me. I
general
appreciate
election in November. I know one
you.
human's going to vote for. Well, I know two, because her husband will too. So
it. Oh, good.
Thanks.
Good. Thank you.